Hello YouTubes, this is Grimweird coming back at you with more Enigmatica 2 Expert Mod Pack playthrough action for Minecraft 1.12.2. As always, we are joined by our lovely avatar, Zombie Steve. And what do you say we try and fire this bad boy up? When we last spoke, uh, I had set up my room for collecting um, resonant ender as coolant for the fusion reactor. We've also got a room over here with some deuterium supply as fuel. I did go ahead and put, I had made some active coolers. I had gone ahead and placed them here. So they are on the bottom side. On this side, I got 5 to the right of center, 5 to the left of center. I put my resonant ender tanks here. If we go up and over, on this side we have them on the top side of the toroid, and we got 5 and 5 on each side of center again with the ender tank here. So as soon as we get this bad boy up and running, we can start tinkering with piping resonant ender to all of these. And I'm not exactly sure how that works, but we'll figure it out. So at this point, I think we just need to start trying to power this bad boy up. So let's see what happens when we place this here and go out. So you can see things are turning green from a red border to a green border. We're going to throw another power cell on over here to help spread that out. So we got one going around the bottom on one side and around the top on the other. It's spreading. Let's see how it's holding up. Power is holding steady there. Power is holding steady there. Still spreading. Gonna give it a second here. Don't want to necessarily be putting down more power cells that I just have to pick right back up if we are successfully getting the job done. But it looks like we could use a bit more boost, so let's put that there. And let's go ahead and grab this guy. It's going to go to my ME system, but I can go get that real quick. Stop flying for a moment. And it looks like this side's doing well. Spread some power out on this side as well. I'm going to go grab one more, which I have over here. Again, we're just trying to sort of spread the power out. Get this all filled up. Looks like we got some holdouts over here. All of these power cells are in the same channel, so it's all sort of coming from the same place. We're just trying to get it all delivered and spread out. Charge up all of these bad boys. run back over here and take a look at how things are looking here. So we've still got 25 gig of power. The input and the output are sort of all over the place. Not sure what's going on with those numbers. This thing seems to be generating plenty of power. Just give it a little bit more time. Looks like most of this side is filled up. Most of this side is filled up. Wonder what would happen if we move this over. Got some holdouts along here. Are any turning back red again? I don't think so. Oh, yep, some are. Well, maybe we just need to be patient here. Not sure if we've got enough output fast enough. I do have in reserve this resonant energy cell. I was going to try and hold on to it and use it for powering up the reactor. However, we can definitely throw that in the mix. And it's possible that I'm missing something. The other thing I can do to see if it helps is turn on my extreme reactor, which isn't particularly extreme, but it will give us another, what's it running at? 30-some thousand per tick. So now we're generating 90,000 per tick and have a storage induction matrix with 25 billion in it. So this may just be a distribution problem. I may not be distributing the power to the electromagnets fast enough. Looks like the bottom inside ring is lagging. Trying to think if I have one more power cell to help spread the power out. Do not think so. Try moving them around a bit more. See if that helps. It's possible that I'm missing something here. So these all have plenty of power. Maybe they're just not dispensing it fast enough to get everything going at once, I guess. We need everything to simultaneously turn green. That does not appear to be happening. Maybe slowly but surely. Maybe I just need to chillax. Looks like just this corner on the inside, maybe left. Look at what's going on with my induction matrix. So input is still 0 and output is still 0. That seems really odd to me. Sort of checking my cards, make sure everything is actually looking right. That line was sort of new, so I wasn't 100% sure it was doing the right thing. But taking it out doesn't seem to be doing much. So there really shouldn't be much going on power-wise. I turned off my void miners. I stole the power cubes off of them, or the power cells. This, I think, is actually mostly being managed by the Californium RTG, even though it is hardwired in to this as well. So basically, I'm generating 35,000 here, and I'm generating 60,000 here. This thing is at 91,000 out of 100,000. I think that's its internal buffer. This one's at 25 billion out of 25 billion. Saying that nope, I'm not using or adding very much power to the big old buffer. But I think when you put power into this thing, it sort of deteriorates as it moves along. So I think that I might just need another power cell, say like right in here, to help spread the power out. Guess there's nothing stopping me from making another one. Double check and make sure I don't have one more on me. Nope. Let's see what happens if we do this. So I want to link ID 4 is my output. So I'm going to copy that card. Now this card is 4. We're going to take that. And where we seem to be chugging is down in this corner. So I'm going to place this bad boy here. And I'm going to do that. Link it up. Change everything to out. There, we're spreading some more green. Just a few reds left. Bada bing, bada bing. Is that all of it? Did we get it? Hey, we have a fusion reactor. Toroid size 4, energy, blah, blah, blah. So now I think the electromagnets are good to go. Now I need to supply power here. I'm not sure if they're going to turn back red if I take one of these off. I guess we'll find out. So I still have 736 million here, but I need to go now slap power against the fusion core, I believe, to start powering it up. So I'm going to break this and see if we start losing electromagnets again. Maybe no, maybe no. Gonna grab that. Everything's still green. Yes. Cool, cool. So now if I put this against here somewhere, oops. So now I'm dumping power into the fusion core, I believe. All that's set to temperature is rising. Oh, and my magnets just went down. I'm gonna go make another power cell. I'm not sure I have enough of everything. Let's see. Power cell. No. What am I missing? Oh, this thing. I hate these things. And I don't have it taut. Great googly moogly. All right. Let's see. Are there any more of these anywhere that I could steal? I just need one more power cell. Took the 2 out of there. Ooh, my fuel. I have one in with my fuel. My deuterium. Aha. We might be back in business. I could also try running wire. Whoops. Running cable to spread it out as well. So, bang, out. All right. So the temperature is rising, but I'm not getting any fuel in. So let's see, we want to, actually I don't know what I'm doing here, but it's getting hotter and hotter. It's at 6,100 out of 8,000. That seems potentially bad because it's raising fast. Let's go ahead and take out a fluid conduit. And extract. And insert. Is this damn thing going to explode? I'm going to go ahead and take that off of there. And our temperature is now falling, which might be good. You know what? I'm going to pause recording, and maybe we have to hit 8,000 to ignite, but instead of potentially just blowing my base up or something, since I'm not 100% sure what I'm doing, first time I've done this, I'm going to go ahead and pause recording and pause the game, and I'm going to go read up a bit more and make sure I know what I'm doing, because I'm pretty sure I don't. So I will be right back in a minute. Alright, and so the next 2.5 videos had audio problems. My mic sort of crapped out, so it's just a lot of me wandering around fiddling with things and not having any voiceover or anything on it. So I'm coming back from the future to show you how this turned out. So one of the changes in the last couple of episodes was that I finished Flux Networks, and I've replaced the power cells with flux points. I find that you probably want to sort of do, 1 point of energy input on each side and each corner is what seems to work well. So for instance here you can see these guys are at 64,000 out of 64,000, right where they're receiving power, and then they trail off and start to go down. And so right about, somewhere in here, where they're in the between that point and the other point, where it goes back up to 64,000. So the next time I do one of these, I will probably either just lay down some cable so that I'm spreading the power out more evenly, and make sure that I am touching probably just, each side and each corner. So for a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on the top and outside, and then another, another 8 points on the bottom and inside. And that sort of spreads the power out well for the electromagnets. So the other thing is, right when I was ending that last one, I was trying to get fuel in there, so I had just forgotten to turn this to always active, which is why fuel wasn't coming out. So things are going fine now. This has now been running for quite a few hours. If we take a look at what's going on, fusion reactor, toroid, so it's size 4. So size 4 just means you've got it's 4 spaces before the plasma or whatever you will. So you've got 1, 2, 3 connectors, and then the inside of the ring, and then on number 4 is where your pink plasma is. We're generating 1.613 million RF per tick. The temp is at 5749, which is actually still a little under. I can get up to about 1.62, but it slows down a lot. What I might recommend is, go ahead and go a bit over. So if you look at, if you click anywhere in that interface and go to show recipes, you can go to something like, I'm using this one, deuterium. And so if I mouse over the deuterium, you can see optimal temperature is 5825, and I'm at 5749. So if you don't put your active cooling in place until you go a little over your optimal temperature, it's easier for it to drop down than it is for it to go up. So my efficiency is still at 99%, and it would eventually maybe go to 100, but we're only talking about, I don't know, maybe a 1.62 optimal, somewhere in there, so I'm not too worried about it. Also, when I left off, this thing was climbing up to 8,000, and I was a little worried because I wasn't sure if I needed fuel in it. I wasn't sure if that was ignition temperature or explosion temperature. Well, it was definitely ignition temperature, so basically, now I'm at millions of Kelvin per this measurement system. So yeah, I did want to get fuel into it so that it would ignite, but I wasn't worried. I didn't need to worry about it exploding or anything. So when you get the electromagnets stabilized and all green, and again, that sort of takes spreading the power out for all 4 rails of the toroid. So you got the outside, the inside, the top, and then the bottom. So you want to make sure you get green stable power to all of those, and then you put power against the fusion core, and then that climbs up to 8,000, and then the fuel ignites, and then it takes off getting really hot and starts to get warm. So as you can see now, we're producing tritium. My tritium tank is full. I'm up to lots of buckets, 907 buckets of neutron fluid, because again, this has been running for a while. I'm coming back like a week later to record this, because I realized as I went to publish this video that I didn't have any audio on it because my mic cut out. But things are going well. I have not had any problems with deuterium. I'm making deuterium faster than I need it. So my deuterium tank is still full. My buffer tanks are still full. I'm making plenty of tritium from both the electrolyzer and from the fusion reactions, so my tritium drum is full. I haven't really decided or needed to go to or change to a deuterium tritium mix, but I am, I don't know. I've got plenty of power now, so I'm not too worried about it. I am vaguely considering maybe expanding this a couple of connectors out and making it bigger if I decide I need more power. What else can I talk about with this thing? For a while there, the only other weird thing that happened with this was that, so the fusion core is putting out power, and right now I have that going into a Flux Networks flux plug, and you can see now I've put a transfer limit of 1,500,000 on it. When I originally put this flux plug on there, and it did not have a limit on it, it immediately sucked all the power out of the fusion core, and I was actually running inter-IO cables from the fusion core out to the magnets so that the fusion core was powering its own electromagnets. And when I slapped this on and made it a priority 0 with no transfer limit, it sucked all the power out of the system which meant that the fusion core was no longer powering its own electromagnets, and the electromagnets started to turn off, and I started to hear explosions and whatnot, and quickly had to come deal with that situation. But it wasn't too big of a deal, and shortly after that I got the flux plugs, and so now I just have flux plugs doing that, and these are flux points, and these flux points are hooked up to my big induction matrix, which has tons of power. So now this sends power to the induction matrix. These take power out of the induction matrix. So if anything goes wrong with the fusion core, or if I turn it off or go to expand it or do anything like that, I've got a huge buffer in my induction matrix of billions of RF. So the other thing to talk about is where I ended up on the active cooling. So it turns out that where I ended up was just one ender tank hooked up to one active cooler here, and this one is providing, I've already sort of forgotten, but it's like, of the 5,000 active cooling I need, I believe that's providing like 2,700 from just that one thing. So if we look at, where is it? Here. So if we hover over the thing, it's got 5,000 Kelvin per tick of active cooling. So about 2,700 of that is coming from the resonant ender. So for that case, we have a powered ender spawner in here. That is now run by a plutonium RTG, which is sort of slow power for this. You can see it's ticking up pretty slow, but I don't need a lot of fast ender production here, and that's why I sort of intentionally did that, to sort of throttle it with power. Because as you can see, I've got that full, and this is mostly full, and this is mostly full. So I'm not having any shortage of Endermen dropping ender pearls, being magna crucibled into melted resonant ender, which then goes into this tank to supply active cooling for just one active cooler. So this is about half of my active cooling, and then all of the rest of this is water. So I have the infinite water source from Nuclearcraft, and that spreads out through all of these, and then this one spreads out through all of those. This one spreads out through those 5, and this one spreads out through these this 6. So the way I've done these is each of these does, I think it's about 100 if they are paired with one immediately across from them. So this one, bottom and just right of center, is paired with this one, which is top just right of center, and so each of those are 100, and so I have a certain amount of those that are paired, and that got me to about 4,900. And then for the last couple, I have a few that are not paired up, so they're only giving, like, half that. So like these guys here, these two here do not have ones here that are opposite, and so they're only offering, I think actually they're only offering like 25 each, and this is another one here that's only offering about 25 because there's not one on the other side. So basically I just tinkered with the water-cooled ones and whether they were optimized by having an opposing one or not, until I dialed this into the 5,000 optimal cooling per tick. And the only thing I would do different if I go back now is I would let it get a little above 5,825, and then I would dial it in and ramp up the active cooling and let it come back down to 5825. because right now it's been yeah, so it's only going up, 1,000 per tick, and it's like still 70, 80 million below its optimal temperature. So in other words, I could turn off, say for instance, this active cooling and let it get to optimal temperature and then turn it back on. But I'm not that worried about it because we're probably only talking about, a change of 1.613 million RF per tick to maybe 1.62 million RF per tick. So that's how this turns out, and everything is going fine. Like I said, everything is cool here. I've been running this for, I don't know, maybe a week or so. I've got plenty probably of the neutron fluid for making infinity ingots or not. So I'm not too worried about switching to deuterium, tritium to make more neutron fluid. That may change when I actually get to that and start making it. I might realize that I need a lot more than I think I do, but so right now I'm just sort of letting this go. Yeah, so that's how this fusion reactor turned out. Turned out pretty good. I like it. Plenty of energy. Also, in the last week or so, since this video, I have gone up to tier 5 void miners for a while, until I had so much ore I didn't know what to do with it all. And those did, I think the tier 5 ore void miner got up to around 700,000 RF per tick that it used with a bunch of speed upgrades. So that was a considerable amount of energy. So I was glad I had the 1.6 million. Other things I did, which I'll show in later episodes, was I made a huge UU matter production facility, and it was up around 500,000 RF per tick, which was overkill and a little too late in the game to be useful, but so that you can suck up a lot of energy. So I'm glad I had this 1.6 million being generated. So anyway, that's how the fusion reactor turned out. It's all been good. And my recommendations would be mostly just when you go to power it up, it would have been fine with the power cells if I'd have just run a little power cable out to make sure that I was putting power into the electromagnets in more than just 3 or 4 places, and then make sure that the source of that power is reliable, so that you never lose your electromagnets, because if you do lose your electromagnets, you'll start hearing explosions and this will turn off and your temperature will start to drop very, very fast, and it takes a while for it to heat back up. Yeah, so with that I will sign off and call this an episode, and the next couple episodes also didn't have any volume. In those episodes I did some things like finish up working on flux networks and getting those done. So I'll either just record a little summary of that, or we might just end up skipping it. But anyway, I will talk to you next time. Bye.